welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we dive into something a little bit different, talking about the new player experience and some of the problems that there is currently with the new player experience in MTG Arena. It's one of those things that happen with a game that has been out for quite a while, and it's kind of one of those things over time that I do feel like is a little bit neglected as the game gets more and more cards added to it overall as a whole. With that being said, if you like the video, hit that like button. It definitely helps out a lot. If you're new here, want to post new videos on the channel, hit that subscribe button to be notified when I post another video. With that being said, let's just dive into it. Now, the one thing I will say, the game I think does a pretty decent job at explaining the basic rules of MTG Arena. I do think the color challenge in itself is a pretty decent way to get players kind of up to speed on the basics when it comes to MTG Arena. What I'm more so talking about is once the color challenge is over, is kind of the features and guidance the game kind of lacks to kind of show players what to do next after the color challenge is kind of completed. The first and foremost, I do think it's kind of confusing, especially with the addition of the alchemy format as a whole into Arena. Where should a new player play, their early games of MTG Arena? And I think one of the key issues is now you have standard, you have alchemy, you have historic, you have the various events and things that pop up throughout the week in MTG Arena, and that can be a lot for a new player to kind of understand. And especially when they only have the base starter decks and or whatever starter decks they may have unlocked through the daily challenge that you get after the color challenge, it is kind of overwhelming to be just thrown into a format and kind of throwing out the wolves, essentially being matched up against a deck that is a little bit more put together than just a basic starter deck. And my suggestion here would probably be to have some sort of format or event that a new player can play, and the only thing that is legal are the starter decks that you are given for free with the client overall as a whole. It's one of those things that, depending on which way they would go with this, they can always charge a little bit amount of gold and maybe get a little bit of a reward after playing X amount of games in that particular event, which then also helps maybe complete some of your daily quests without having to worry about playing against much stronger decks than the wings you start off with. After that, I think the other problem is the game doesn't really show you how the economy overall as a whole works in MTG Arena. If you look at the game and you're not really familiar with it, you have the gold, which is all earned within the game. You don't have to spend any money for it's earned by completing the daily quest or weekly quests. It is also completed by getting rewarded for an event completion throughout the time, as well as on the Mastery Pass, which the game also doesn't really touch on, but I think that's just a whole different topic for a different video. So that is gold. Then you got gems, which is kind of like the premium currency that the game has. You can buy it for a set amount of money, you buy X amount of gems. It is also rewarded in-game as well through some other events, usually the more premier events like the open championship weekends, sometimes the premier drafts and things like that. So gems is kind of like that premium currency, but for a player that may only see that there's a paywall to buy gems, they may not know that there's ways to kind of get gems without having to actually spend any money. After that, you have the wild cards, which essentially are cards that are opened in packs throughout the game, and they pretty much are a card that can be redeemed for a card of the same rarity. So there's commons, uncommons, rares, and mythics. They're just a chance to get in a pack, as well as there's like a little wheel as you open packs. You'll see in the top right hand corner that as you open, you'll kind of complete a wheel and you'll get a guaranteed uncommon or common. And then I think after every 18 or so, and on your 24th pack that you open up, you get a automatic mythic kind of card. So it is kind of a weird currency. It's kind of clunky. It doesn't really explain itself on really what they're for, other than the fact that they just have a rarity on them. It probably takes a little bit deeper dive in, watching a video on the internet really on how to redeem those cards for some sort of card that you're looking for. Which brings me on to my next subject, is I think the game kind of lacks overall as a whole when it comes to giving players an idea of how the crafting system works, how to build up their collection overall as a whole. Take those wild cards that they may have gotten when they're starting off, how to redeem them for cards that maybe they want to add more copies of a particular card into their deck, or how to look at the collection overall as a whole that Arena has and maybe get cards that they may not already own. And that's another area that I think the game doesn't really explain, is like when you look at the various tabs across the top of the client, each of those tabs have different options and features within those tabs, and there's really no explanation of how those features really work. It takes a lot of play testing, and I think especially when someone who's new to a game, it can be very overwhelming. And I even think if they just had like Sparky pop up when you click on a tab for the first time, and she just bounces around and she just kind of gives you an explanation of what each button does in a particular tab, I think it will definitely go a long way to kind of maybe bring players up to a little bit further of a speed. I know you can't really have Sparky kind of show you how to build a particular deck because it can only do so much, but I do think like if you go into deck building or deck collection Sparky's showing you how to increase or decrease the amount of cards you have in a particular deck, how to find cards that you don't own in your collection to then redeem them, redeem a wild card for it. Even heck, you can even have Sparky show you how the store works to kind of show where to buy packs and things like that. I think like that Sparky's utilized pretty well in the color challenge, but not utilized anywhere else within the game. Even if Sparky gave you a brief explanation on the various formats that are available to play in MTG Arena as well. Going back onto the first thing, I think it definitely, like I said, will go a long way. Having the game kind of explains the basics is definitely very good in the client as well as not just the game itself. And that kind of moves on to my last subject, and I do think this is kind of one that I think a lot of people touch on, and that's the economy as a whole in MTG Arena. How the economy is kind of weird when it comes to how to get particular things. Gold is pretty straightforward. You get it through the events and quests. The gems, like I said, it's a premium currency. You can get these through event rewards, or you can purchase them with real money. And then the wild cards, you get them through various packs. But I do think that's where the game gets very confusing, especially with the new alchemy format, with it being a mostly rare and mythic format. I do think this is one of those things that the game is a little confusing, a little, strange compared to maybe its physical counterpart. The first thing and foremost that I will say is, compared to its physical counterpart, MTG Arena packs only have 8 total cards in them. 5 commons, 2 uncommons, 1 mythic or rare. Each of those slots have a chance of possibly being a wild card instead of the common or uncommon, which makes it a little bit tougher, to maybe complete the set if you're just looking to complete, particular, set of cards like Crimson Vow or something like that. Compared to its physical counterpart, which is a total of 16 cards, I believe. 10 of them are commons, 3 of them are uncommons, 1 of them is a mythic or rare slot, and then you have the basic land slot, and then you also have like the promo, like advertisement kind of card / token, and then occasionally that card can also be a foil card, and then depending on what set, some of those slots can also maybe be a special card. I think Strixhaven, I think one of them was like the archive cards. I think maybe took place of the land card. I'm not 100% sure, but let me know down in the comments below. So I do think it's kind of one of those strange things, especially, a player may be like, hey, I opened some packs. Now I want to kind of learn how to play the game. They go ahead and, download Arena, and then all of a sudden they start opening packs and they're like, wait, why is it different than the physical counterpart? And I do think some synergy between the physical and digital card game is definitely very beneficial. I can understand it's kind of probably one of those things that, you give them half of what they would normally get, makes them have to buy double to kind of, complete their collection. I guess they don't want people, redeeming, getting full sets of things too quickly. But like I said, I do think, having differences in like that makes it very, hard to understand, especially for a newer player. I think the other thing too that is kind of lacking, the packs themselves, when you open them, they're not very interesting, if that makes sense. Nothing's better than when you open a physical pack and you kind of get that bomb rare or mythic or even a cool card in a foil. And I know you can't really do that in Arena because like foil's kind of weird, or alternative arts are kind of weird, but it'd be kind of cool if there's like a way to maybe have some sort of that in the pack, or possibly even like, what if like that bonus slot that normally would be the advertisement or promo is just like guaranteed wild card of a various rarity, and then there's always a chance of getting a common, uncommon, rare, or mythic, and then on top of that you can still open the various rare or mythic or common cards throughout, wild cards throughout the pack. Definitely be beneficial. I do think giving players more cards isn't a bad thing, especially when you have these additional digital formats getting added to the game overall as a whole. But like I said, I mean, that's just kind of like one area I do think they can improve upon when it comes to the economy, to make maybe feel a little better for players that are currently playing the game or maybe even new to the game. But like I said, if you have any suggestions on maybe other areas they can expand upon, let me know in the comments below. I definitely want to hear your guys' feedback when it comes to thinking where you guys think the game doesn't really provide enough additional information on really what to do. If you like the video, hit that like button. It definitely helps out a lot. If you're new here, you want to know when I post new videos on the channel, hit that subscribe button. And until next time, I'll see you later.